Okay, so welcome to Arithmetic Sequences Part 2 here. We're on Practice Problem 2, and here is our sequence that we're working with. 40, 120, 200, and 3,000, all the way to 3,000. So this time we're actually given the final term. So if I was to write down what we're given, and the question is to determine how many terms. And so this question's actually looking for n. Okay, it's actually looking for n. That's the difference here. T1 is given at 40 and Tn is actually given at 3,000, right? Gives you the final term. It also gives you D, which will be 120 minus 40. If you check each one, they will be the same difference, and so D in this case is going to be 80. Is going to be 80. Okay, so to solve for n, we need the formula. So recall from part 1 or in your notes, here's the formula. Okay, T1 plus n minus 1 times D. That's to find Tn. Now we're going to substitute what we know and solve for n. Okay, so what do we know? Well, we know that 3,000 is going to go in for Tn. We know that 40 is going to go in for T1. And then, of course, we don't know n. That's what we're going to solve for. And D is 80. Okay? So, let's solve this using our classic tools. 80 will distribute in. So we get plus 80n minus 80. Then 40 minus 80 is negative 40. You bring the constant terms to the other side, and you're going to get 3,040, okay, equals 80n. When you divide, you should get 340. Okay, so n here is going to equal 340. I believe that's correct. Yes, it is. You type that in a calculator. Okay? So, pretty standard, but it switched up what you needed to find. So, moving on to, here's example 4, deals with a grocery clerk stacking cereal boxes. Okay? I'm going to do a similar question, so here's the solution to that question in your notes. A similar question, grocery clerk has been given the job of stacking cans in a similar design to that of the cereal boxes in the previous question. The top 3 rows are shown. If there are 14 cans in the 8th row from the bottom and 10 cans in the 12th row from the bottom, determine T1, D, and Tn for the arithmetic sequence and determine how many cans are in the bottom row. Okay, so this time, this question can be a bit tricky if you don't understand what's going on here. It gives us a couple of bits of information, and it's asking us to find T1, D, and Tn. First of all, let's actually write down what they give us. This is the top of the stack, so it's kind of like the end of the sequence. So if I was to write this out, these are ... 3 for 3 cylinders here, 3 cans, and then 2, and then 1. So the last term is actually 1. So here we're actually given the end of the sequence. So we already know the final terms. Because we're given 3 terms, we can still figure out what D is. D will be 1 minus 2 or 2 minus 3. Okay, either or, you're going to get negative 1. This is your first example of D being negative. When D is negative, the sequence will always decrease. Okay. So, what else does it give us? Well, it actually says that if there are 14 cans in the 8th row from the bottom. In this case, T1, we're looking for T1. And I might as well write down that T1 is the bottom. That is the bottom row. Okay? But it gives you what T14 is. Pardon me, it gives you what T8 is. Okay, it gives you what T8 is. Because it says that there are 14 cans in the 8th row from the bottom. So 8th row from the bottom will be T8. and there are 14 cans in that row. Okay, so using that bit of information, we actually can solve this question, because here's your formula. It might be the last time I write down this formula. I'm going to assume that you have it memorized. We're going to actually do this for T8. So we're going to put 14 in for T8. And T1, we can actually solve for it right now. We don't know what that is, but when n is 8, T8 is 14. So we have one variable, T1, to solve for. And let's do it. Over here we have 8 minus 1 is 7, times negative 1 will be negative 7. Bring that over to the other side, and you're going to get 21 equals T1. Okay, so what that means is the bottom row actually has 21 cans. Now all we have to do is write a general term for Tn, right? It's still asking for this guy right here. So let's do that. We know what T1 is now, right? It's 21. And in general, we still have to put this negative 1 for D. We simplify this, and what are we going to get? It looks like, so negative comes in for n, you're going to have a negative n, negative comes in, making a positive 1, and you're going to get plus 22. And that is the general term. Oof, there we go. Okay, so that will generate all the terms in the sequence. So there's that example. So you can be given the last couple of terms. So if you're given the last couple of terms of an arithmetic sequence, you can actually still find Tn as long as you have D, and as long as you had this bit of information here. So the last question we're going to talk about will be to do with a furnace technician. So let's read the question together here. It says, what is the charge for 10 hours if a furnace technician charges $45 for a house call plus $46 per hour? Okay, yeah, it's actually making the assumption that you understand that for the first hour you're actually being charged the hourly cost plus the house call. Okay, so that means T1, the first term in the sequence, will be 45 plus 46. Okay, you get murdered in the first hour of this technician charging you here. You're going to get a charge of $91 for the first hour. Now, the following hours will only be $46 more. Okay, so that actually tells you what D is, right? Because you're just going to be adding 46 to each term. Okay. Okay, so from there you actually you have all you need, because it's asking what happens after 10 hours. That's 10 terms. So it's asking at T10, we have 91 for T1. This is, I'm plugging into the formula. N is 10 minus 1 and multiplying by 46. That's all this question is asking you to do, is compute this. Okay, so we have 9, and I actually calculated this beforehand, I believe. We have 9 times 46, and this actually whole thing will come out to be 505. Okay. Ooh, wow, what a terrible circle. You get the idea. There it is, 505. That should be all the types of questions you should expect with arithmetic sequences in this course. Okay, so make sure you complete these practice problems. The solutions are also posted underneath on the online website. Okay, and if you have any questions, please ask me.